Okay, 3, 2, we're live.
We are live. Throw me that pen. Adam is here. Josh is here. Kai is ready to do some searches. He's saying he's improved. The crew is back, and Adam, you're scored away with the bathroom issue today.
Yeah, we're okay.
Any challenges?
Okay. Thank you.
We got a lot to cover. Let me tell you what we got. We got our brackets. NBA brackets. We'll cover it today. Obviously, the Bucks they lost to the Magic yesterday. The Lakers lost to the Blazers yesterday. So we'll give our brackets in a minute here. And then we're going to talk about California. Look, if there's any California politicians listening today, I tell you, turn this thing off. If there's anyone in California that is for the wealth tax, that's for raising the taxes, that's for what's going on with Uber and Lyft, if you're for any of that stuff, I promise you, turn today's podcast off. It is not for you. Let other people tell you what these guys talked about on this podcast, because California's not going to like it too much today. We're going to talk about the DNC. I watch every single one of the speeches. We'll have opinions on and thoughts on every one of the talks that was given, whether it was Michelle Obama's speech, which I believe she crushed it, whether it's Clinton, whether it's AOC's speech that was given, and then maybe we'll talk about some comments Cuomo made about Newsom, what happened with NYPD Union, Trump's brother passing away recently, USPS, what that has to do with voting, what Obama said about Biden behind closed doors, and some talks about China, some talks about Cardi B, that new song that came out that's apparently number one on billboards now.
Unbelievable.
Number one on billboards now. And then who knows? We may talk about some other stuff we got going on here as well. By the way, I am missing one of my papers, the main one with the notes at the top. I'm missing that one, Kai. If you can find all the other notes that they brought to you, I'm missing one of them. So let me get yours for California. I'll give the notes that I have.
Yes, sir.
So here's what just happened with California, okay? Couple legislators got together, okay? They got together and they were giving notes and they were giving ideas on what to do. And it got to a point where this one legislation could pass in the state of California that will have a 0.4% wealth tax on anybody worth 30 million or higher, which means whatever you have on the first 30 million, you don't get taxed on. But per 10 million, you're going to get taxed above the 30 million. So per 10 million, you'll be paying $40,000. So if it's 100 million, you're paying $400,000. If it's $1 billion, you're paying $4 million, et cetera, et cetera. They're calling it the wealth tax. This idea was brought up before by Elizabeth Warren, and she offered 2% is what she was suggesting. California is now saying 4%. No, I'm sorry, 0.4%. And then on top of that, get this. Here's the other thing they're suggesting. They are suggesting to raise the regular taxes, top-line revenue, which California already has, at 13.3%. If you go look at the rates on the worst state with taxes, number 1 is California. Number 8 is New York. Best one is Tennessee. But number 1, worst taxes in America is California. So 0.4%, they're saying it'll generate them an additional $7.5 billion a year in this fund. And then on top of that is 30,400 people in California that are going to be hit by this, because there's only 30,400 people that are worth 30 million plus. So a lot of people are going to be like, I don't care if you pass this tax. I'm for it. There's nothing wrong with that. And on top of that, the additional taxes, they want to raise it from 13.3%, which is the top line taxes for a state in California, to 16.8%. Having said that, you had a couple comments to make earlier. Adam, I want to come to you first. What are your thoughts on what's going on with California right now?
It's being from Florida, I'm really genuinely not too familiar with states implementing, can I get that, state taxes. And obviously coming from the financial services world, I'm very familiar with the estate tax. So two different concepts here.
Exactly.
I'm talking two different concepts. I'm talking state tax, the state you live in, and then the estate tax when you're worth over what, 25 million at this point?
It's 20, I don't know if it's
something in the 20 million. For all my multi-millionaires out there, look out for something called the estate tax. So taxes already do exist, and then some on the wealthy with this estate tax. Come on down to Florida, basically, is what I'm saying. Come on down to Texas.
But one of the things
basically, it's shocking the taxes that people like. At what point do people just say, I can't do this?
But wait a minute.
Anymore?
You said something earlier where you said the other thing the legislator said is the fact that they're going to go back.
Oh,
so if somebody says, screw it, I'm leaving, like people are leaving New York, what do they say they're going to do in California?
They said basically they're going to come after you for 10 years.
10
if you live
years.
in California, you made your wealth in California, and you're like, yo, I can't do this anymore. I'm moving to Texas. They're going to come after you for 10 years. I think it proactively, it goes 90%, 80%, 70%.
Retroactively.
So retroactively. Yeah. So basically they're saying, if I move, you're not escaping the California wealth tax, buddy. I don't care where you go. You can go across the world. We're coming for you. That's a slippery slope, Pat. I mean, I don't. Is that even legal?
Josh, what do you think about it?
Are you sure you want this, Pat?
Bring it.
Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it, because I think this is the most insane, stupid, asinine thing in the world, and you know that I'm a proponent of the flat tax. I think that there should be one flat tax. But let me tell you the different ways that Americans are taxed, and we don't even realize it, okay? We talk about income taxes. Obviously, we got our federal, state taxes, our sales taxes, our excise taxes, our payroll taxes, our property taxes, our estate taxes, our gift taxes. They tax you. In fact, there's one tax nobody talks about, and that's inflation, which means that every time the government prints money, they're taxing you, and you can do absolutely nothing about it. You want to know what we did? We gave a bunch of flipping retards, and we made them money managers. Every time that we vote on these politicians, we take these people that love to do nothing but spend, 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 spend. I just want to remind all of the viewers, there's no such thing as government money. There's no such thing as government money. There are hardworking, red-blooded Americans of every kind, color, ethnicity, race, creed, race, sexuality, all of this stuff. Like, those are the people that make the money. But they are taxing us into freaking oblivion. How stupid is it, Pat, that you can make a bunch of money in your lifetime? You get taxed on that money. And guess what? As soon as your kids go to inherit that money, as soon as you pass it on down to them, they've already taxed the snot out of you on that money. You go to pass it down to your kids and leave a legacy, what are they going to do? They're going to tax your kids again. This is the problem. We need a revolution in America, and I want to remind you this. This country was founded upon the hatred for unfair taxation. The Boston Tea Party, we look at those people as patriots, right? The people that would go out and they would start a revolution, the big Boston Tea Party.
No taxation without representation.
Do you know what that tax was? That tax was 3 cents per pound of tea. All right? And they said, no, we're sick and tired of it. I think that we need another revolution in America to where we tell people two things. Number one, most of all, stop freaking taxing us. I honestly think, Pat, I'd love to get your take on this after we go into the intricacies of this wealth tax, is why should we not just have a flat tax? We live in a land of equality. Everyone wants equality, right? But why is that not for the guys on top too? Why in the world are we going to take the innovators and the guys that are actually out there providing jobs and stuff? Why in the world are we trying to handcuff these guys, punish them? Man, it's...
Well, here's the challenge with the flat tax. I'm all for a flat tax. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a flat tax. And for me, the challenge with flat tax is, you say I'm on the left, okay? If I'm on the left and you're offering a flat tax, logically it makes sense. Reasonably, it makes sense. Everybody ought to pay the same amount of taxes, fine. But they're going to go back and say, hey, Republicans, your favorite president of all time was Ronald Reagan, and he proposed a progressive tax. So if he's so great, you can't just pick and choose the stuff you like about him and you don't like about him because he proposed a progressive tax. And that was, the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. But I'm all for a flat tax. However, let me get back to a couple things. So this guy was being interviewed by your guy on Fox Business. Neil Cavuto is interviewing
who's a stud.
Rob Bonta.
He's fair and balanced. He's what Fox should be.
Sure. Rob Bonta, who is the California Assemblyman. Okay. Yeah. And while he's interviewing him, he says, what makes you think no one's going to leave? He says, our millionaires and billionaires have increased in the last 10 years. And yes, some people are thinking about leaving, but this is California. And Neil says something like, well, don't you think your beautiful state like California is going to lose a lot more billionaires? Thank you for letting us know that California is beautiful. Yes, it is beautiful. The level of being pompous, like, leave, I dare you to leave. You can only have that attitude for so long until people do leave. Then what do you do when they do leave? By the way, this kind of takes it into, the flat tax, not flat tax, the wealth tax, to see if other people have done this before. Elizabeth Warren wanted a 2% tax, net wealth tax, on people worth 50 million and up. Okay, so if you're worth 100 million, she wants 2% on that additional 50 million. And she wanted a 3% tax on billionaires, net. You're worth a bill, it's a management fee. Like when you work at Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch and you got your Series 7, which is kind of what you just talked about as a money manager. If you got $1 billion under management, you make 1%.
The AUM, right?
Assets under management, you're making $10 million a year. If you got $100 million under management, you're making 1%, you're making $1 million a year.
It's fantastic.
This is a method of saying we're officially asset managers, which Josh gave the best analogy could have possibly been given. But here's the part that they're not talking about. Mm-hmm. Wealth tax has already been tested in Europe, okay? More than a dozen European countries have used the wealth tax. And nearly all of these countries eventually repealed them. Mm-hmm. Austria, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Sweden. Wealth tax survived only in Norway. Freaking people from Norway, Kai. What is up with your people? Spain and Switzerland. Here's an interesting fact. Do you know who leaves? Who do you think leaves when you have a wealth tax? Who leaves?
Wealthy.
The wealthy leave. Okay, so check this out. Let's transition into Uber. We've been talking about Uber the last couple podcasts that we have here with Uber and Lyft. I think these two go together. Here's why. So Uber, I get a message yesterday from, you know how they send you a alert? The message comes out, and here's what it says on my phone. From Uber, service update. Ride sharing in California may be suspended. Uber, okay? Lyft proposed something to the state to see if they'll consider it, is to sell a license to drivers. You're not an employee. You're not an independent contractor. Buy a license. So they're forcing,
like the medallion in New
like
York?
taxi, exactly.
Lift your mic
like taxi, right? Hey, you buy your license is what you're doing. So Lyft is offering these guys to buy licenses from them instead of being 1099 or instead of being W-2 because they just can't afford it. Then Lyft comes out and says, if they decide to do this, we have to shut down California and stop. Guess what percentage Lyft's revenue is from California? What percentage of Lyft's revenue out of all the states in America?
In U.S.
In U.S., what percentage of the revenue you think is from California?
Can we do a round-robin guess?
I'm actually curious.
I'm going to say...
You give a number, I'm going to go high or low on that.
I'm going to say...
Over, under.
I'm going to say 15 to 20%.
Ooh, that's high.
What do you say?
That's high.
Kai, what do you say?
You're going 15 or 20?
You know the answer or you don't know the
20.
answer?
I'm going to say 20.
What are you going to say? 30%, what are you going to say?
Wow. I'm right there. Josh said 20?
Okay, it's 16% is what the number is.
16?
16%.
1/6.
1/6.
Okay,
Do you know how much is 16%? Do you know how much is 16% in one state? Do you that's a company doing $1 billion a year, now you're going to 160. Okay, that's what 16% is. And by the way, yesterday I saw a picture that they posted. They said, in front of California, Sacramento, Uber guys, they're protesting, saying, you owe me back, $490,000. Now, first of all, who knows if that person was paid $500 for somebody to say, go take this picture, we're going to use this for news, and it's not
that
really
kind
a driver.
Of stuff doesn't happen. Pat.
Never happens, of course. But here's the other part.
Yeah.
So let's just say Uber and Lyft eventually bow down and they say, okay, we'll stay there. You know what's going to happen? Say your ride's going to be $20 to go from one place to the other place. It's going to be $40.
Yep.
We'll do that. No problem. We'll pay health insurance. We'll pay 401k.
Oh, yeah.
But it's $50.
Gonna pay.
You're going to pay.
Yeah,
they have to pass it down somewhere. So the pompous attitude of Rob Bonta, the California Assemblyman, and the pompous attitude of Newsom, because yesterday you and I were talking about this, and I said, this is what they're doing. He said, Pat, does Newsom know this? I'm like, who do you think would pass something like this? It has to go through who? The governor. So Newsom, this has to get approved by the governor at the top, which is who? Newsom. To do something like this, why would business owners stay in California?
No, I think I asked, obviously I did ask that question, but I said, isn't it the judges in the judicial branch who are passing down these, what are they? They're not laws, the mandates. What are they?
New legislation.
Right, okay. Yeah. I'm not a legal scholar, but it is the judge's decisions on this kind of stuff.
Here's my question, Pat. Is in order to get into office, okay, which is I find it funny that these guys are our money managers, and a lot of them have never even owned a business, nor have they have a degree in finance, or I mean, obviously they don't have a degree in finance, okay? But all you have to do to get into office, you got to be charismatic, you got to be a good marketer, right? You got to be able to speak well, be articulate, et cetera, et cetera. I actually think that entrepreneurs have a responsibility at some point in their life, especially if they've been able to accomplish something in the business world, to at some point go into public service. And I'm gonna here's why. A lot of your big money guys, a lot of your successful guys, they don't want to leave their businesses in order to serve publicly, because a lot of times you have to surrender either your share in the company, or you have to be a silent partner. You cannot actively be involved in a business. And so a lot of these guys that are even in the upper echelons of public service, they're getting paid $184,000 a year. That's the cap over, say Congress.
That's the top congressman
Yep.
makes that.
Yep.
Wow.
So a lot of these guys are like, dude, I'm not taking a massive pay cut to go do this. But honestly, I think that's the problem. If we just think, if you had an influx and an insurgence of all of these entrepreneurs that all of a sudden said, come on, man, I've built a $20 million business, $100 million business, America would be fixed. And then it wouldn't even be a Democrat versus Republican thing, because people could disagree on social issues. You could disagree on LGBT, this or this or this, but we would at least get back to the fact that we were fiscally and financially responsible in this country.
I mean,
How do you debate that?
You can't debate that.
How do you debate that? By the way, watch this. So this whole thing with wealth taxes is going to require taxpayers to report the value of financial securities, homes, furniture, artwork, jewelry, antiques, vehicles, boats, pension rights, family businesses, farm assets, land, intellectual property, and much else, which means who ends up winning? Accountants end up making a ton of money, because somebody has to do this work, and that's hours on top of. In the last 90 days, I can say I have spent somewhere around $500,000 to $600,000 on accountants. Okay, these are hours on top of hours on top. Accountants are sitting there quietly saying, "Well, listen, don't say anything, because if this gets bad, let me tell you, we're about to get a lot of bills next year. We're gonna make some money." So,
well, let me tell you one thing. I go to this meeting every year. We met at NALBA, it's an insurance meeting.
Yep.
I go to this. That's in November typically. It got canceled. I don't know if you know about that, but
of course.
There's another meeting. Tell me if you ever heard of this meeting. It's in January every year. It's an estate planning conference called Heckerling Estate Planning Conference. Whatever. So it's all about the estate planners. And if you know nothing about the estate planning world, this is the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And at my company, we go there as representatives of what we do. And it's this like underbelly world, not in an illegal way, but kind of, where it's all about avoiding estate tax planning. It's all about legacy planning, charitable planning, estate tax planning, and it's the wealthy, the advisors to the wealthiest people. They go there and they're just talking trust and estates and contract law, and it's just the wealthy have people on their payroll, and their sole job is figuring out how the hell do I avoid these estate tax planning, right?
But those
what's your point though? What's
I'm just saying the wealthy have. You think the wealthy are just paying taxes willy-nilly? They got, like you said, CPAs on file, estate tax attorneys, CPAs, the whole lot of them just getting fee after fee after fee to avoid these ridiculous taxes.
Are you seriously alluding that California is not going to get their money on that $7.5 billion from the people worth more than $30 million, the 30,400 people?
I'm just saying the wealthy are going to figure out a way to
to
keep their
Give me
money.
the simplest way they're going to figure it out. Give me the simplest way they're going to figure it out.
Who's going to figure it out?
Give me the simplest way the wealthy are going to figure out to not pay that taxes.
Oh, they're going to pay some high-price estate planners, and they're just going to figure it the frick out.
That's the simplest way. What is the simplest way to avoid having to pay those taxes?
You're saying moving.
He's saying leave.
They
Moving.
will leave.
No, obviously that's the simplest way,
They
but then we go
will
back to my
leave.
initial point that they're going
10
to
years.
tax them for 10 years. I don't know how they're going to implement that.
They will leave.
We've seen it already. They're
Yeah.
leaving. I mean, and just like in New York as well, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you know
was
what?
the whole
You know
thing
what
with the
Rob
billionaires
said?
in New York.
Rob said, if you want to come here to be around business, the capital of business, and we're the 5th largest economy, and we're this, and the weather, and da-da-da-da, and the perfect living, they are so convinced California is the best place to live. By the way, if you are in California because you love the beach, okay, which, by the way, it's not 95% of the people that live in California. It's just the people on
It's
the
just
side.
people
Okay?
in LA,
You have to
San
realize.
Diego.
And by the way, I lived in California, and, if you're in California because of the beach, Florida is 10 times better than California. If that's the reason with
Galveston
benefits.
is
Now watch this, but hear me out. By a mile, Florida beats California. If you're saying I have to have the beach life, fine, go to Florida. Okay,
The waters are warm in Florida. They're freezing in California.
If it's business and purely business, there is only one place you got to go to. If it's business, it's Texas is number one. If you want to go to business, but right next door is what people forget is Nevada. And Nevada is one of the states that doesn't take state taxes. Right. So it's not like it's a long drive. So I'm talking to a lot of my buddies that are running businesses that are doing $100 million to $500 million a year business, and they're simply going to Nevada. And by the way, you know what else they're doing? It's a whole different conversation. Because of all the way the taxes are set up, it's forcing some people to legally get divorced. Stay married, but legally get divorced to not have to pay taxes and move to another. I mean, some weird laws are making people make some weird decisions when it comes down to their finances. But you got to sit there and say, listen, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. So they're staying married in church, but they're being divorced in state, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So a lot of weird things going on right now when
for
it
you,
comes down to
There's
taxes.
two words that you use a lot. And capitalism is obviously one word.
100% is
and
another
one.
100%.
100%. You use 1,000%, 100,000%. So capitalism is one word, and bullying is another word that you use a lot.
Yep.
You refuse to be bullied. That's one of the major things you teach your kids. Can you just talk about that analogy right there, or the metaphor with capitalism and bullying? And sounds like California is doing some bullying or being pompous. Can you just talk about that analogy?
Yeah.
Right there?
So let me tell you what California. Were you going to say something?
They actually call Pat the Assyrian bull.
So
says the Christian Crusher.
So and by the way, just so you guys know, we're at 955 people watching right now live. It's the highest we've ever moved. We're 45 away
Especially
from getting
so
to
fast.
1,000.
Especially
Put a thumbs
so
up.
fast.
Put a thumbs up and share this, and let's see how high we can get today. So let's talk
Address
about
this
that.
capitalism and bullying, please.
Okay, capitalism and bullying. So, capitalism works because you always have what? Choices.
Options, baby.
You don't want to go to Starbucks? No problem. Go to Coffee Bean. You don't want to go to Starbucks or Coffee Bean? Guess what? Go to 7-Eleven.
Dunkin'
Go to
Donuts.
McDonald's. Go to Dunkin' Donuts. You got choices.
Yeah.
You're not forced. It's choices.
Yeah.
Not forced, not choice. You don't like American Airlines? Go on Delta. You don't like either one of them? Go on United. You don't like United? Go on Virgin. I don't care. You have choices. You have a choice to go. What California is doing to put that additional 10 years of saying we're going to come back and try to get the taxes from you, they're trying to eliminate choices. To say you don't have a choice. Now it's a dictatorship. That's what that becomes. And I know this sounds kind of weird to say California is becoming a dictator state. It is. They asked Cuomo the other day. So for me, I'm a Cuomo fan. When I say Cuomo, I don't mean by his policies.
You mean the governor of New York? Cuomo.
Man, not Chris Cuomo, but
His swag.
I just like
His swag.
Andrew Cuomo and I would get along. If we went to dinner, I know for a fact we're going to laugh. We're going to talk shit. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk politics. We're going to argue. We're going to scream.
Seems like a guy's guy.
It's a man's man. It's my kind of a guy. We're going to sit down and talk.
With nipple rings.
Yeah, with nipple rings. So one guy asked him a question and says, so what is the difference between you and California? California, you got
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom and you got you, but both of you guys went up in coronavirus cases. Yours has declined. You're in a better place. California's got another spike. What are you saying? And he makes his argument on what it is, right? Because in California, they're doing it by, they're allowing the regions to do different things. In New York, we said Syracuse, upstate, Buffalo, New York City, man, it doesn't matter. We're all following the following guidelines. Here's what we're doing. And they flatten it, right? Okay. But Cuomo doesn't come across as a dictator. Cuomo just comes across as, listen, man, I told the billionaires, I had a buddy of mine. He went to Florida. I said, you got to come back. You got to come back. He says, come back. Let me buy you a drink. I'll make you breakfast. I'll make you dinner. Just come back. I want you. But the way he sounds, you like him. You just like, you know what? Freaking okay, I'll come back, But the approach in California is, well, if you don't come back, we're going to do this to you. Who the hell are you? So you talk about capitalism. To me, a true capitalist simply wants choices. And California is eliminating choices.
And what's the bullying analogy?
That is bullying.
Okay.
That's bullying. That is a form
no
of bullying.
Options. This is your only option, buddy. Take it or leave it.
No, you cannot do that. You got to have options.
Speaking of options, valuetainers have an option of what they watch, and we just hit 1K for the very first time. The comment section is lit.
I love it.
Applause to all of you
Awesome.
valuetainers.
On her channel with 9,000 subs, by the way, which is a pretty big deal. We're only 900 something subs away from cracking 10,000 subs on a complete separate channel, which is exciting. But keep pressing that thumbs up button and keep sharing the content that we're having here today. So, yeah, that's what I mean about bullying. That's what I mean about California. I think California is taking a wrong approach. I think they're going to pay a price, and I don't think it's going to last too long. So
The key word we just learned was you got choices.
you need choices,
You got
man.
choices.
You need
got
choices.
And
It's
I'm telling
always
you, I'm the
case.
best choice 2020.
So with that being said, let's go into the DNC yesterday with, not yesterday, the last 2 days with everything that happened, with the speeches that were given. I got notes on every single one of them. I listened to every single one of them. But I think, Josh, I think it's appropriate we have you give us an update on what happened on DNC day 1 as well as DNC day 2.
Well, a lot happened.
Fair and balanced, my friend. Try your best. Try your best to be a fair and balanced.
I would have rather watched the opening credits on the television at the Marriott Hotel when they welcome you with their pre-recorded commercials. This by far, outside of Michelle Obama, who I still think is a horrible person, but she delivered a great speech, okay? This was the most boring snooze fest of a has-beens. And idiot former Republicans like John Kasich and Cindy McCain and all of these morons, it was absolutely abysmal. And trust me, I cannot wait for the RNC to take place on the side of the White House. And we already know Trump already is lining up a fireworks show that is supposedly going to be grand. But what happened in the DNC? Well, obviously, Michelle Obama gave a pretty tough speech. She was extremely eloquent in her delivery. By far, she was the highlight. I almost wonder what it is that they're setting her up for, because if you think about it, she's kind of the first time, like even with Nancy Reagan, she did her say no to drugs thing. But this is Michelle's really the first president's wife that has kind of been paraded out more like a politician than a first lady. I mean, in her own right, she's done a great job branding herself as an actual influencer because she's not an elected official, right? But she's actually come up to where she probably holds as much, but close to as much credence as someone like Barack Obama does. And I would actually say that she's probably becoming more of a figure than Barack Obama because she's a little bit more outspoken than him. But as far as just straight oratory and delivery, she did a phenomenal job. But, man, there is something weird about this pre-recorded montage that took place at the DNC. Now, I think, and we're going to get into it, AOC.
That was weird. I got to tell you. Did you see that? Did you see what AOC said?
What did she say?
Okay, tell us what she said. Very
Bro.
weird. She spoke for less than 2 minutes, by the way. She had 2 minutes of time. That's how much they gave her. The lowest time anybody got was her, 2 minutes.
Get her in, get her out.
Bro, but they know that they have to have her because she's the leader of the young new Democrats. So they got to put her up there. So she gets up. She's the face of the squad, right? She gets up at the DNC, which is all about Joe Biden, which is all about let's get all of the troops behind Biden and let's go for it. And she gets up and gives this long speech. Well, long
2 minutes.
Yeah. Gives
This
this
long 2 minute speech.
Yes, it was
somehow.
a very long 2 minute speech, and this is how she ends. And that is why at the Democratic National Convention, I nominate the senator from Massachusetts or the senator from Vermont, Bernard. Are you ready for this? Sanders.
She said that at the end?
She nominated.
By the way, can you pull it up? You just have to
we
watch
gotta
the
see
last
that.
30 seconds. It's a 2 minute. It's not like it's. Just pull
Bro.
it up.
Oh, she's done.
No, she's not done. She
done.
knows what she's doing.
Bro, she is 100% calculated.
Right. By the way, minute 39 seconds. I was off by 20 seconds.
Good evening, bienvenidos.
Go all
and
the way
thank
to the
you.
end, right there.
Time when millions of people in the United States are looking
She's
for
reading it.
deep, systemic solutions to our crises of mass evictions, unemployment, and lack of health care, en el espíritu del pueblo, and out of a love for all people. I hereby second the nomination of Senator Bernard Sanders of Vermont for President of the United States of America.
The DNC is dead, ladies and gentlemen. The DNC is dead.
No, she's done.
There,
It's not
in
about,
my opinion.
Bro, I don't think so. In fact,
not
Pat,
done.
Pat,
if you're going to get anything done in the DNC, in the Democratic Party, you're going to need the DNC machine behind you.
But bro,
she just spat in their face.
You 4 years ago, the RNC said they would never select Trump as their face. They were forced to, and the guy had to bow down, and he was there
Trump
for the celebration.
Had the people behind him. He had the Republicans behind him.
Do you know how many followers this girl has on Twitter?
That ain't shit, man.
I'm
telling you.
She's
got the liberals in New York that are feeling her.
Right.
Okay, but hey,
let her run on a national stage,
guys.
She might win her little Brooklyn Dumbo. And if you don't know about Dumbo, that's down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass or whatever it is. I'm not calling her a Dumbo or those people a Dumbo. She might win that little segment, but she's not a national player.
Okay.
In my opinion. You think so? Go ahead, disagree. Go say it now.
Never underestimate a socialist, man.
So let me
underestimate a socialist.
Let me explain to you why Pat's right here. Yeah. Okay? A lot of people.
She's got your vote. Go ahead.
A lot of people are watching the DNC that takes place at night. This is primetime DNC convention, right? A lot of people watch that. That is the equivalent of what I'm going to say your Tinder picture is, or your Grindr picture, okay? Everyone's got that one picture that looks good, that's like their public-facing picture. But if you really want to get into what the future of the Democratic Party is, let's go into what's happening at the DNC during the daytime, okay? This is where they're having the youth panels and their youth speakers and all that stuff. There was some stuff that happened with the youth speakers that to me was like, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, holy crap, this is the future of the DNC. This is what happened in the pre-evening DNC convention, all right? They go to play for the national anthem. Now, at nighttime, they had that little Zoom montage of everybody like singing the, and it's very pro-American. We're united. During the day, though, it's an entirely different DNC. So when they get up to do this this particular panel, they said, now we're going to play the national anthem. For those of you at home, feel free to either rise or kneel. Okay, this is the DNC, their convention, and they're telling people they want to come across at nighttime patriotic, but the youth are saying, hey, if you want to kneel, that's just as patriotic. Then in one of the speeches, the lady actually rails for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes on why the future of the Democratic Party is fighting and she said, the entire desolation and deconstruction of capitalism. They're letting their true colors be known. And then Iona Presley gets up in the pre-DNC. This is like wake up in the morning who you really are DNC. This is no makeup DNC. This is not Tinder profile picture at nighttime DNC. This is like the real DNC. She gets up and praises the protesters and rioters in Portland. At night, they want to seem like they're the unifiers of America, but during the day, they are literally praising and bringing up in fact, they even had a preacher on there. I don't know what, let me just look in this camera right here and say, I don't know what in the hell kind of preacher is going to speak at the DNC, you baby murdering, abortion flipping idiot. You're going to hell. So they get a preacher up at the DNC that tells America, of course, he comes up, I'm here tonight to tell you that we have got to open our borders. And Jesus said that if you do it unto the least of these, I'm here tonight to tell you, America, if we don't open our borders for immigrants, our nation is going to hell. And I'm sitting here like, man, this starting to sound a little bit like Jeremiah Wright, when he said, God damn the United States of America. Dude, Pat, I think this brings up an interesting point, and we can go back into this DNC thing. I think you're right. There is a new Democratic Party that's taken place, and you can obviously see it here. There's a war. But I'm actually telling you, the Republicans, as we saw here at the DNC, the Republicans, we had John Kasich, we had Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, all of these Republicans that go up on the DNC platform and say, we endorse Joe Biden. What we have seen, ladies and gentlemen, is the death of the Republican Party. There is no more Republican Party. Now there is MAGA versus everybody. Trump has done a phenomenal job in branding. Now the MAGA crowd says, oh, you're a Republican, screw you, you're not a Republican, we don't claim you, we'll never vote for you, you're out of the, period. It's MAGA versus everybody, and I think it's going to end up being a showdown between MAGA versus socialism, and that's That's what the future of the country is.
You know, the beautiful thing about Josh is you know what he's going to say. Also, the bad thing about Josh is you know what he's going to say. Obviously, he's going to defend MAGA, 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 MAGA. Dude, pump your brakes a little bit, buddy. If you want to go MAGA versus the rest of America, we'll welcome that. You got, what, 25% of America who's feeling Trump, feeling MAGA.
We'll see in the election.
We will see, and we will see when the weigh-in happens.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying, obviously, you know where Josh's position, right?
No, I'm asking
obviously, you know that he's going to
saying?
hate on the DNC.
Yeah.
Obviously, dude, let's just back up a second. I'm not even trying to be political here. Why are all these Republicans? John Kasich, who is a governor of Ohio.
People are glad.
Did you vote for Mitt Romney
Yes.
in 2012?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Mitt Romney?
I think Mitt Romney has turned a coward. Heck, bro,
Okay.
I was pro George Bush, but George Bush has shown his colors.
So
Bush
you're not
family.
a fan of Romney. You're not a fan of McCain. You're not a fan of Bush.
And
So you don't like any of the Republican candidates, but you're all about the MAGA. Is that so?
Bro,
what
Trump-
happens when
Trump
Trump
has
leaves
exposed-
office in a couple months or 4 years?
That's,
what happens?
I'm so glad
What
you said 4 years. Okay, because
Most likely a couple months, but it could be 4 years.
Pat,
what happens?
Pat and I were
Do
having.
you melt? Like what happens? What do you
So-
do then?
What's the question?
Like what does Josh do? Like if it's MAGA,
Okay, yeah.
that's Donald Trump's brand. Unless Donald Trump Jr. somehow magically becomes the next president, I don't see that at all.
So, if you're asking me a question, I'm gonna respond.
My initial question is why are all these Republicans, okay, then you can respond. Why are
What
all these
happened? It's saying it's
Republicans coming
freezing.
back?
We're fixing the issues, ladies and gentlemen.
What do we got going on?
I think we're back up.
Are we
and
not on a
going.
hard line?
Yeah, but after the whole
The
reset,
new-
Ken said that he's working on it, but it hasn't been fixed.
All right,
Okay,
well,
we not
by
on
the way,
right now?
let us know if you guys can see us. Can you see us and hear us now? Is it all good now? Comment below and let us know if it's good now. We didn't listen, Adam. Well, we just want to comment to see if it's good now. Okay, well, continue anyways. You were going to say. You were saying.
This is me just being apolitical. I'm not trying to say I'm trying to be left or trying to be right. Why are so many Republicans who have
Yeah.
been lifelong Republicans, okay? Remove your emotions from this question. Why are so many Republicans coming out being like, we just can't vote for this guy, straight up. We cannot vote for Donald Trump. So
And
many
by the way,
Republicans.
this is something that happens every single time. Every single time, Trump's going to get some people from the left.
This doesn't happen every time.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
You're going to have
how
people-
many Democrats right now are basically saying, I cannot vote for Joe Biden. I'm sorry.
I can tell you-
Trump has my vote.
Watch,
how many Democrats do you see that?
I can tell you a huge. In fact,
Show me. Don't
Watch,
tell
watch,
me.
just
Show
watch,
me.
just watch. If you remember,
Okay, it's all good.
one of the greatest speeches that I've ever heard came from a Democrat, and I think it was in 2000. Was it 8 or 2006? He's passed now. Rest in peace. The Democrat Senator Zell Miller. I don't know if you remember his speech at the RNC, but if you've never watched his speech at the RNC, I promise you, it is one of the greatest speeches. It will give you goosebumps the entire flipping time. When he came out and he went, it was when John Kerry, it was against John Kerry,
04.
Bush. Yeah. Okay. Zell Miller comes out and gives a speech, and he says, I have been a Democrat my entire life. But when I look at what John Kerry wants to do to the American military, and I see that he voted, and dude, he went through, bro, it was beautiful. He voted against the B-something bomber. He voted against this. He voted against this. What does he want our troops to do? Protect us with spitballs? And bro, the crowd goes freaking insane. But the RNC
Sounds like one of those old Democrats,
bro.
Southern
Yeah,
Democrats,
yeah.
That's that carryover from the 60s.
But one of the smartest things that these groups do every single time is go out and find, including Republicans. Republicans do the same exact thing. They did it with Zell Miller. Go out and find somebody that's willing to flip on the deal, because now it becomes a referendum about them. And this election, that's why they're running a dead guy. They're literally running Joe Biden, who hides in his basement, is pretty much halfway
I saw
in a
that guy
casket.
go bike riding the other day. What do you mean a dead guy?
Bro, on what, an electric bike? Bro,
he was
look.
on a freaking bicycle. What
Bro,
do you mean a dead guy?
These are photo ops to try to convince the
The
American
guy was on a
people-
bike.
Okay, watch,
you can't
watch.
say he's a dead guy, then you
Watch.
show me a picture riding a freaking
Watch.
bike.
Watch.
Which is he dead or is he riding a bike? Which
Bro,
one is it?
did you see?
They photoshopped him riding a bike.
Did you
They
see?
caught him.
Did you see Weekend at Bernie's?
I love that
Okay?
movie.
Okay, bro.
I love that
This
movie.
is Weekend at Biden's, bro.
You're out of
okay,
control,
look, bro.
You're absolutely out of
bro.
You do have some
just look.
credibility, and then you go over the top, and
Bro.
then it's like, all right, you just
Bro,
house of cards.
Look,
there, Josh.
look. You Tulsi.
Let's show that Lindsey Graham ad.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Tulsi Gabbard. You had Pete Buttigieg. Bro, Amy Klobuchar. You had this entire array of all of these young Democrats, right? They picked Joe Biden. Why? Because they wanted to make the election a referendum on Trump. They knew that they didn't have anybody that was going to be able to run against him on ideas. So and this is smart. They probably got this idea from Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro said specifically, if you want to beat Trump, you got to run somebody that just hides the entire time and will not take the fight to him. And that's what they did. That's why they're running Biden. That's why he's the most vanilla, yeah.
So here's what I'll say. I watched every single speech at the DNC so far in the first 2 days, okay? Data-wise, to just kind of give you what data looks like, Hollywood Reporter came out, and this is what they said. The broadcast networks suffered the biggest drops ever. ABC, CBS, and NBC combined for about 6.7 million viewers at 10 p.m., off by 42%, Adam, from the 11.6 million they had that tuned in 4 years ago. ABC led the trio with 2.44 million, followed by NBC 2.28, CBS 1.99, meaning nobody watched it, okay? Nobody, and this is Hollywood Reporter. This is not Fox News, okay? Hollywood Reporter, that's a complete different data. This is the data that's giving you exactly what happened here from the Hollywood Reporter, telling you what the numbers were, right? Okay, so I watched all of them. I watched Clinton's talk, and I'll give you my takeaway from each one of them, what they was at. Cuomo spoke. His talk was, he sounded like he's given his 2024 speech, is what Cuomo sounded like he was doing.
Like Obama in 04.
He kind of sounded like he is giving his speech to say, don't worry, wink, wink, 2024, I'm going to run. I'll be the president in the next 4 years. So he was kind of campaigning for Cuomo. And then he gave the speech that he has to give. Biden's better, Biden's this, Biden's that. But keyword, he called out him, Trump on COVID and division, okay? Next, Sanders talked about climate change, racist, calling Trump a racist, pandemic. Trump is rejecting science. Keep in mind these words I'm going to share with you. Rejecting science. Then he talked about stimulus check, socialism, all that other stuff, okay? And then he says Biden is going to reduce Medicare from 65, Medi-Cal age from 65 to 60. So that's a big difference in 5 age. Sanders said that Biden's going to reduce the age from 65 to 60. That was part of his speech. Kasich gave his talk, and, many of us can't imagine another 4 years going down with the path of Trump, et cetera, et cetera. All our leaders before him have tried to unite us except for Trump. Kasich gave that speech, which fine. Kasich is more a center-right guy. He's not really a Republican. He's center-right. Totally fine. Clinton got up, 5-minute speech. Terrible timing to have Clinton talk after a picture comes out of him getting a back rub by a girl that was at the Epstein place. So it's a bad timing. Not a good thing that they did with the DNC, but I think they were in too deep, too late. I think Republicans were ready. Once the DNC was going to announce that Clinton was going to speak, they were going to release those pictures, and it was very strategic. I don't know the facts behind it, but I think it was a timing thing on the Republican side. If that would have come out sooner, Clinton's probably not talking. Clinton got up, gave a 5-minute talk. He took a shot at Trump when he gave that HBO interview. It is what it is. He says Trump thinks people are dying. It is what it is. COVID killing, Trump shifting blame, Obama and Biden, 6 years of the economy growing, job growth. So he kind of edified Obama and Biden. This is going to be the case. Michelle Obama crushed it. And I'm sitting there listening to her talk, and she says, here's a man, Biden, who has given his number to kids who lost a loved one to speak to them. Here's a man that knows what it is to lose a spouse, to lose a sibling, to lose a child. He knows your pain. He knows everyone's pain. Versus Trump doesn't know when you're all this other stuff that she took a shot at that side. Very emotional. If you've not watched this 18-minute talk by Michelle, it's a powerful message that she gave. Okay? Then she goes on to our last national election, popular vote. Trump lost 3 million, but she talked about the younger audience that got to come out. Okay? And then she talked about empathy was a big word for her. Empathy. Again, another word, trust science. Sally Yates got up. She spoke, got down. Not really a big deal. Biden doesn't back down from bullies, which, okay. John Kerry gave a talk, as boring as it can be, it was gone. AOC took shots and endorsed Sanders. Whitmer from Michigan, Biden and Obama saved auto workers in Michigan. That was her message. Okay, and we listened to medical experts. Biden trusts science, okay? Colin Powell talked about the military because Biden sent his son off to military.
So Colin Powell spoke.
He did. He spoke. Caroline Kennedy endorsed Biden. Anyways, so you go through all these things, all these speeches that were given. There was a very obvious conference call or a Zoom that was held with all the speakers to say, here's the 3 topics to touch on. One was Trump doesn't trust science. Okay, so if you're going to be looking for things to be listening to the next 3 months, he doesn't trust science. Okay, so Fauci is going to turn. It's going to be doesn't trust science. Racism was something that was talked about by a lot of the speakers. And, a couple things having to do with, climate change was mentioned, but I think it was mainly racism and trust science. Okay, where are we going with this?
Empathy was a big one.
COVID was by everybody that was brought up. Everybody. So now, let's assume the DNC is a very strategic party, okay? If they are very strategic.
It's a big assumption, but go ahead.
Let's say they are very strategic. I would assume if they're setting this up that Trump didn't handle COVID, I would assume the next 60 days are going to get worse with COVID. I would assume the next 60 days, you're going to see shutdowns. You're going to see more fear mongering. You're going to see more strange data coming up. You're going to see more businesses going out of business, more restaurants shutting down. You're going to see more people losing jobs. You're going to see a lot of that happening because if that's the card they're using, they have to make it worse the next 30, 60, 90 days for it to get to a point that people are going to say, I'm not going to vote for this guy. Now, last night, Tom and I, friend of mine, Tom and I are texting back and forth. Tom's a data guy, and I love Tom. When we talk to each other, it's always last time we were watching the entire election, the election night, till 4 o'clock in the morning, we were on the phone together for 5 hours. Here's the data he sent me. Truth on national basis. 42% are locked in Republican. You can't change them. No one's going to change them to vote Democrat, right? There's about 42% of American voters that are like Josh. You're not going to change them. There's 44% locked in Democrats. You're not going to change them. There's 4% that are locked in Green or Libertarian. 4%. That's 90% locked in.
Yeah.
Then you're dealing with the 10% that determine everything. The 10%, if they go 60-40 Trump, it's 48-48, tie. If they go 60-40 Trump. If they go 70-30, it's game over. However, here's how I process this.
If they go 50-50, it goes...
It's Biden. If they go 60-40, it's also Biden. It's got to go 65...
Trump needs to win the independent voters.
No, the 10%. So, but here's where that goes. I will tell you something here. When I saw McCain first came out going against Biden, Josh, I know you're not a McCain guy, but resume to resume, who has a better resume, him or Obama? McCain against Obama.
Yeah.
It's McCain.
Yeah, of course.
But the part that everybody watched when McCain came up, even with his resume, he didn't look healthy.
Yep.
You didn't see like he had the energy. You were kind of like, I'm worried about this guy. Don't go you. Don't think him. Don't think any one of us that we're going to vote a certain way. Don't think about some of the people that are in the middle that are saying, I don't know about this. There is no way when I saw the ending of how Biden was speaking at the end with his wife, Jill, the energy was just, it's embarrassing. His wife was trying to build him up. His wife was trying to protect him. The 10%ers are going to determine who's going to become president. And I think the 10%ers are going to say, listen, man, I think I'm just going to risk it and go one more time with Trump for 4 more years. I don't know if I'm comfortable with somebody that's nearly 80 years old to be the president who's never even coming out here talking. That's how I see this thing taking place. And it's not something where you look at Obama, you're like, okay, this guy's young, exciting. You look at Clinton against Bush Sr., this guy's young, exciting. You looked at, even
You're thinking of the JFK Nick
that direction. Passing that $600 a week saved the economy. Very bad move, man, on the Democrat side.
I woke up.
I mean, that you're talking about strategic planning. That'd be some fucking Machiavellian strategic planning right there.
That's what happens in politics. You think politics like, let's see what's best for the people.
So,
you really think that's what they do? Let's see what's best for the people.
Giving shit about the people.
I woke up this morning and I actually heard the Dow Jones singing a little song. Can't nobody hold me down. And bro, here's the thing.
No.
Trump came out.
Moving.
I think that they have given Trump his greatest rally cry, and it's this. I built the greatest economy. Okay, I did it, and it was big. Okay, we were going in a very good direction, and then the Democrats and their pandemic. But if I did it before, I'll do it once more. If I did it back then, I'll do it again. Okay, we're going to have the greatest economy a second time. And he literally said this on Twitter. He said, I'll rebuild the economy again. How in the world does the Dow and like it bounces back so fast? I think that's his rallying cry. Like, hey guys, you want the greatest economy? Look at how quick I brought it back from what was the worst pandemic in the last 100 years. And look what I was able to do in a matter of months. Like, to me,
I mean, good point. I'll give you that.
And to Pat's point, I think that one of the valuetainers say it best. Shout out to Palmetto Paratrooper, who said this. He said, I don't like Trump, but I hate all the other options. I think that that's the sentiment of a bunch of the guys in the middle, is they're like, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Trump and some of the stuff that he says, but I hate everybody else.
Dude, that's exactly what the other half of the country's saying. That's my point. Is like you're giving your perspective or...
It's the 10%, man. The 10%
That's what I'm saying.
Control everything.
10% control everything. So we could...
Everyone says the video's lagging.
Is it still lagging or
It's
no?
going...
Yeah, it looks like it's delayed. Like
What's going on here,
I
gentlemen?
can't hear, but it looks like the audio might be ahead of the video because of the connection.
So how are we looking now? What are we doing now?
We are.
We were all the way up to 1,400, by the way, active.
Yeah,
Did you say please refresh your screen? Is that what you're telling people to do? Okay. Let's continue. I mean, we're just going to continue and see what happens here. That's what we're going to do. You guys tell us what you're doing. So S&P's back up. It's U.S. stock market benchmark on track for its biggest 100-day trading rise since the period ending August 18, 1933, according to Dow Jones. So the market's recovering. It's coming back up. And Elon Musk is apparently now the fourth richest man in the world. He's worth, what, 88 billion, Kai? What's the number now? He's worth somewhere around
84.8.
$84.8 billion, but who's counting? And Bezos is nearly, after getting a divorce and giving up $30-some billion to his ex-wife, he's now about to cross $200 billion in net worth with the kind of rise that they're making. Do you think eventually Elon Musk, again, I'm going to ask this question. I asked this a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Do you think Musk is eventually going to pass Bezos in net worth or no?
Yes.
You're saying yes? Are you saying yes?
I don't know if he's going to pass him in net worth.
You think he
seems
will?
Like it's but I do want to change my opinion. I think you asked me like who you betting on, Bezos or Musk?
Yeah.
Not even necessarily in the net worth department, because at this point, like, you're worth 100 billion or worth 120 billion, like whatever. But dude's going to space, man. Dude's going to space. Like, that's pretty dope. Okay, I mean, Richard Branson ain't doing it. I don't know. I know you're a big Virgin guy, but I don't know literally. But I don't know if that's
Well, you got
that's happening. But the dude's going to space.
Say that again?
Bezos has his blue origins. He's trying to go to space too.
Yeah. I think there's just something more attractive about Elon Musk. I don't know what it is.
Physically.
No, not physically attractive. Personality, the way he talks, he's edgy. He's the rebel with a cause, you know.
And he's what, like 20 years younger?
Yeah,
Right?
not 20 years younger. I think they're like 12 years apart, 10 years apart.
If they're 12 years apart, then I don't know what Elon Musk is is taking, but he definitely comes across. So he's 56, and Elon Musk is
49, 7 years apart.
Wow,
That's it.
But bro, doesn't Elon Musk come across as a lot younger?
Yeah, that's the hair thing, bro.
Oh,
By the way, he lost his hair a long time ago, just so you guys know this.
Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he went to space. He got a new hair transplant. He's good.
Exactly, and it's a new thing. It's a new thing they're
fantastic.
doing.
dude, your hair is out of this world.
Yeah.
By the way, so check this out. So word is out. Buffett is betting against the U.S. for the first time ever. Buffett is betting against the U.S. For the first time ever. He's been a long critic of gold as an investment, saying it has no utility and that the magical metal is no match for the American metal until now. Berkshire Hathaway, okay, just acquired 21 million shares of Barrick Gold, which is worth $563 million. He just made a $500 million bet on gold while selling shares of Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase. The Friday afternoon, by the way, he sold 1.75% shares of JP Morgan Chase and I'm sorry, of Wells Fargo, and he sold 1.39% of JP Morgan Chase. Buffett is betting on gold. Do you think he's just getting a little too conservative, or do you think he knows something the rest of us don't know?
Josh, you go first on this one because I know you're a big
I'm
gold
a
and silver guy.
big metals guy. Really, really big metals. And it's because I like to essentially hedge my... Well, bro, look. I bought a bunch when it was about $14. It got down as much as 12. I bought I don't want to say how much, but I bought a lot. And I've seen a nice, healthy increase because we went from 14 to right now it's sitting somewhere around 28 this morning. So, and that's just been in the last few months. But there's a lot of uncertainty, right? And the beautiful thing to me about metals is this, particularly silver. When you start looking at the fact that there's physical silver and then there's paper. Now, Warren Buffett's buying paper. I'm personally not a fan of paper, and it's because your metal's not real. It's imaginary metal, right? So it could be taken away, an EMP goes down, they shut down Chicago. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but it's kind of hard for him to buy this much gold because I don't even know that there's this much gold in flipping existence in the U.S. right now. Even if you went to Fort Knox, I think Fort Knox is probably empty. But that being said, when you're buying paper gold, all right, or paper silver, you're buying something that has zero backing. There is not as much silver as there is on paper because I think they can do 100x, right, Pat? So if you're trading on 100x. I buy physical silver because should paper silver ever go away, just look at what physical silver is going to do. It's going to shoot 100x, okay? But as far as Warren Buffett goes,
what's he banking on, though? What's he banking on?
I'm so glad you asked that question, brother. I've been waiting all day to answer this question. No, I'm just kidding. But I did do a little research here. And are we even live right now? Okay. So this is actually the power of Google. Do you know that the ticker, the stock exchange, the ticker for gold? Do you know what the symbol is?
What's that?
AUG, right?
It's XAU. It's not gold. Okay? So just a little hot tip for it. What gold is this Barrick Gold Company. So that's a great come up for Barrick Gold. They're GOLD. So I'm just thinking, like, why after years and years and years, you're thinking about legacy planning and everything he's ever said, and I bet on American metal, not this precious metal. I have a different perspective. I don't think he's necessarily buying gold. I think he's buying the company. It's like back in the day, you know who made the money in 1849 during the gold rush? You know who actually made the money? It wasn't the company. It wasn't the
guys
people
selling pickaxes.
The guys that sold the freaking shovels. Oh, you go ahead, go find that gold, buddy. They're signed. The guy that sold the shovels, the guys that set up the restaurants, the guys basically who are capitalists saying, all right, good luck finding that gold. What I think Warren Buffett is doing is he bet on Barrick Gold. And if you look at what Barrick Gold is, our vision is to be the world's most valued gold mining business by finding and developing and owning the best assets with the best people to deliver sustainable returns for the owners, our partners. So he's not buying gold. He's buying the company. He's basically saying, you people go buy your gold. I'm going to buy the company that gets all the gold in your hands. So I don't think he's changing his position. I think he's basically saying, you guys running around buying your gold, I'm going to go buy the company that's mining the gold, and then you do what you want with your gold. Because I think in this late in the game, I mean, Warren Buffett's got to be 88. How old is he? 88?
He's
guessing?
Late 80s.
Okay. And then his homeboy, Charlie Munger is what, 99 and a half. I mean,
why are these guys still trading?
Okay, that's my point.
Why are they not on the beach?
They're not doing this.
They're not doing it for money.
They're not. He's not like reversing everything he's ever said on his legacy, and he's like, oh, you know,
guys,
96.
The point is,
If
they're investing in the shovels, not the gold.
By the way,
is
if
my
you're
opinion.
watching this, can you do me a favor? Go on my Instagram, and I want you to video record and show me exactly what this looks like, so I can bring it to because on our end, it looks fine while I'm looking at it. On your end, it probably doesn't look good. Audio is looking good, but video is bad, or what is it? It's audio and video is bad.
When it comes out of my end, it's good, but when I look at my computer and I'm watching the podcast, it is coming out of sync.
Mario.
The network change over the weekend they took off power from the Wi-Fi access point that's closest to us. I don't know why. Now they're trying to give us more power. It was a variable we were not expecting.
So did Ken tell you why that happened or no?
He's working on it now. No, he has not. We have to meet right after. So that is not.
So it's funny
Okay,
because people
so-
are saying that Adam's words do not match up with his actions, and I say that every single day.
So let me ask you: do we continue or do we stop right now? Because tell us what's going on. You're saying Luis continue or
I
no?
think we should wrap up
Okay.
early this time.
Yeah.
Just fix this problem.
Okay, gang, listen, this was the best one we had so far with the most people watching, but you're saying the lag is so bad that you can't even tolerate this. We're going to check to see what's going on over here, and we will get back to you Friday. I mean, even if you do that right now, it's irrelevant because this is pretty annoying.